welcome back to Foster English. Today we're going to be talking about the simple future tense. So the simple future tense has, again, one really simple function. And just like all of these simple tenses, the simple future tense is dealing with the whole idea of whatever the verb is. So whether it's an action or a state of being, we're talking about it in its entirety, which means there's no sense of duration of time within the action or the state of being. That's sort of definitive of the simple tenses, whether it's past, present, or future. So the simple future tense is simply taking that complete idea of whatever the verb is and moving it into the future. Simple enough. However, the simple future tense is the first verb tense that requires a verb construction of more than one word. We're now getting into the area of verb phrases, which is not the same as phrasal verbs. We'll talk about the difference at a later video. But verb phrases simply means we're using more than one word to create the complete idea of the verb. And that's now going to be from here and all of the rest of the verb tenses to follow. So just be aware. Now we need to put words together. And that can sometimes make things easier, but sometimes it can make things a little harder. So let's start with the easiest. There's actually 3 different verb phrase constructions that we can talk about in the context of the simple future verb tense. The first is only 2 words. The first word is will, and that sort of gives the impression of futureness, right? Will, even by itself, is kind of a modal verb that talks about future intent. So we're getting that, obviously, with the simple future tense. And the second part of that construction is simply the bare infinitive. And if you remember from the simple present tense video, the bare infinitive is the word, the verb, whether it's the action or the state of being, as you would look it up in a dictionary, right? It's just the word all by itself. And here, there's no need to add any S's or add any letters on the end or anything. It's just the bare infinitive. If you need a reminder, go back and watch the present tense video. We broke down the infinitive and the bare infinitive, and anyway, that's it. That's the simplest of the simple future verb tenses. Will plus bare infinitive. Word as you would look it up in a dictionary. That's about as simple as any 2-word verb construction is going to get. Because none of that changes, right? Will is never going to change. It's never going to be subject to any manipulations because of how many or time or anything like that. It's always going to be will. And because the bare infinitive is the second word in the construction, nothing changes. And that's going to be important later. We'll get into that as we need to in future videos. But just know that anything after the first word in a verb construction is pretty stable, right? There's not a lot of change that happens, if any, which is good to know. So that's will plus bare infinitive. That's the easiest of the simple future tense constructions, and in my opinion, that one sort of deals with ideas with the highest amount of certainty. Because let's face it, when we're talking about the future is inherently uncertain, at least to some small degree. Even with the most certain claims I can make about the future, I don't know with 100% certainty. There's always going to be a fraction of a percent of possibility of something not happening because of something unforeseen. So let's keep that in mind when we're using the simple future tense and we're speaking with such certainty, or reading people speaking with such certainty, or listening to people speaking with such certainty about future events, because a lot of the time they're wrong. But we don't need to get into that. We just need to get into the verb constructions here. So the second of the simple future tense verb constructions is this idea of be going to. and then whatever it is the verb is. And again, that is going to be your bare infinitive at the end of that construction. This be at the beginning of this construction is subject to change, and that's why I put it in those brackets there, right? We're not using be. It's either going to be I am, you are, they are, he, she, it is. And then going to whatever your active sort of verb is within that idea. So that's 4 words in that verb construction. Be, however it appears, going to verb. Okay, and that's pretty lengthy. And again, in my opinion, that gives a slightly lower level of certainty to whatever the event or the state of being is, right? Whatever the action or state of being is going to be. I just used it, is going to be. Okay, so the third of these verb tense constructions of the simple future tense is actually its own verb tense that we'll talk about later on, but with the addition of future context, right? So giving it some sort of time. And it's the present progressive tense, or also known as the present continuous tense, which is be plus verb ing, and again, that be is not the word be, it's either am, is, or are, plus verb ing, and then giving some sort of idea of the time, right? So it could be, I am eating in an hour, right? That gives you the sense of sometime in the future, I am going to consume food. But I'm not eating right now. If I were eating right now, you would see it because I'm on camera. If you can't see it, you'd probably hear it because I'm being recorded. I'm not eating right now, but I am eating in about an hour with some level of certainty, hopefully, because frankly, I'm getting a little hungry. So let's wrap this video up so I can finish this and you can get on with whatever it is you're doing. But thank you again for just being here, for participating in this. Please like, share, subscribe, but first and foremost, communicate. So comment below, ask questions, let's talk about things, or if not with me, communicate with someone else, because really that's what this is all about.